My name is Dawn Wood, and I am the host for Workplace Culture Podcast, along with my co-host and dear friend Priscilla Jaeger. In the description of this episode, there is a suggested reading list. And so, with that, I just want to talk about some of my favorite authors that is in the recommended list, and then have Priscilla also share hers as well. And so, again, I know I say it continually, but Florence Scovel Shinn, The Complete Works, she talks about so many different things, health being one of them, and what destroys health, which is being in that constant state of anxiety, that constant state of fight or flight. We were not designed as humans to live there all the time. And also taking some accountability, not participating in things that are negative. No negative talk. Nope, not negative self talk, not negative talk out into the universe, not gossiping, none of that, because that just further, if you've ever been super stressed out and you talk to somebody and you're both just negative ranting, you don't feel better afterwards. It feels like it's even heavier. So you have to kind of strategize on ways in which to make a change. Okay, I'm sick of this. I've had enough. I can't deal with this anymore. What is the way out? And the way out starts from within. Then I'd also like to recommend Simone Stozoff, The Good Enough Job, Reclaiming Life from Work. So, for many of us who are people pleasers, who are workaholics, this is an excellent read because if you've ever the example that I would like to give is like if you go into the DMV and you're like, okay, these people are doing the very bare minimum, but they're still employed and they're doing their job. They're doing what they're supposed to be doing. They're not going above and beyond. They're not rushing through each person and getting to the next person so they can have a certain quota of how many people that has to come through the DMV, regardless of how frustrating that can be for somebody who's sitting in the lobby, waiting. They're doing their job. And so if we all could take that mindset, and not to say that we're supposed to slack or anything like that, but what is your job? And hopefully when you've been hired, you got a job description and job expectations. And so I think for many of us, especially women, trying to compete in the workplace, or people of color or people with disabilities trying to compete in the workplace, we feel like, you know, to do like my father did. He literally worked himself to the grave. So much stress in working 7 days a week for so long, ignoring his health, always trying to do more than anybody else. His family suffered for it, and ultimately his health suffered for it. So all the plans that he had for this exciting, wonderful retirement were gone because at the age of in his late 60s, he had to retire early, and he ended up in a nursing home because he was blind. He had Parkinson's. All of these things ended up, the stress affected his health. So I think it's so important for us to really sit back and take a look. Are we living to work, or are we working to live? What do we have going on in our life that is being ignored, including our health and our own well-being, because we are literally worshiping our job? That's essentially what it breaks down to. It's like an idol that we feel that we have nothing else of worth in our life but that. And that's wrong. So maybe resetting our expectations and doing what is in our job description, the good enough job. And that way we are reclaiming our life. We have a life outside of work. And so I recommend that you read this book and start reclaiming your life. And with that, Priscilla, what are your recommendations?
Yeah, so many good ones. Oh, well, mine are a little bit more of books that have just really supported me on my journey. And one of my favorites is by Don D. Dolan, The Five Elements to Understand Yourself and Enhance Your Relationships with the Wisdom of the World's Oldest Personality Type System. So, The Five Elements is based on Chinese medicine, and this book really breaks down each element in such a beautiful way, where it's got different personalities. She does a good job of helping you understand not only what element you mainly are or what your kind of top three, top priority elements are, but gives like personalities of, how you might notice in the way a person dresses or the way that they look or the way that they act. You'll start to notice what their element is, and it really helps in the workplace. I swear, like whenever I think about working with someone, I really look for what their element is. Like if I was looking to hire an HR person, I'd want somebody who is an earth element to be in that role because they're going to be great with people, or I'd look for somebody with a little bit more of a fire element. A fire earth would be like perfect because they're good with working with people and getting people to connect. But if I need somebody to do some sort of a creative project, I'm going to look for a water element, somebody who is really wants to go into the depths of creativity and has a vision. So it's really, really great to know what elements are, especially on your teams. I wish this was like a personality test that teams did as a team building in the workplace, because it just so helps to know what element you are and what you resonate with. And it helps you know who on your team can really get things done. Like a wood element is going to know how to manage a calendar better than an earth is going to. So, it's a super, super helpful book. So that's Dondi Dahlin, The Five Elements. Highly recommend. And then for my second, I absolutely adore Gabrielle Bernstein. Anything she writes is phenomenal. So she is an amazing spiritual coach. She has a great book. The first book I ever read of hers was a game changer for me, and that one was called May Cause Miracles. And this is a 40-day guidebook of subtle shifts for radical change and unlimited happiness. So it's a really sweet kind of quick read but you do it over time. I'm a sucker for books like this.
Ew. I love that book.
Yeah, so just reading like a day, reading a page a day and doing it for 40 days, it's just phenomenal. And every day there's just sweet little nuggets of wisdom and truth and meditations. And it's just a great way of keeping stress low. So yeah, highly recommend Gabby Bernstein, May Cause Miracles. And then the final one that I'd like to recommend is Vishen Lakhiani. It's called The Six Phase Meditation Method, the proven techniques to supercharge your mind, manifest your goals, and make magic in minutes a day. So again, this is a book where he breaks down these 6 phases for this 6 phase meditation. And he's got really great resources in the book that you can actually go and download and listen along, some MP3s. It's just a really phenomenal practice. And for those of you that find like, oh, it's so hard to meditate, or I have a hard time sitting still, or I have a hard time with my monkey mind, this is such a great practice. It's simple, it's short, it's literally something you can do in like under 10 minutes. And it's just a phenomenal book. And I really love anything that Vishen Lakhiani produces as well. He's got such a wealth of information. You can check him out on Mind Valley, and he's got hundreds of courses with amazing humans on that platform. So yeah, if you're looking for ways of diving into more of the metaphysical, the meditation, the breathing, the calming of your mind, these are really great resources just to kind of help you navigate who you are and understand yourself a little bit better, but also start a practice that you can perhaps use every day, and just begin with something that is short, simple, and doable, and also will just totally change your life. Yeah, so those are my recommendations. And one more thing I did want to touch on, just because you had mentioned earlier, uh, another great stress reducer that I have found personally for those of you that are on the computer for a long period of time. I know that's my like one that I get caught up in all the time is I design websites and I'm making courses, so I'm on the computer quite a bit, and I love using the Pomodoro technique or Pomodoro method, whatever you want to call it. But it's just short 25-minute sprints, and you can literally go to tomatotimers.com and I'll put that link in the show notes. But that is such a great website where they have all these cute little videos or, sounds. So it'll keep you on track and you can just write your to-do list or what are your intentions? If you have one email to write, can you write that email and focus on just writing that one email? What's your one thing you want to focus on in the next 25 minutes? And that's what you focus on. So whenever people work with me, I always do this tomato timers and we say, okay, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to drink water. Second thing we're going to do is we're going to breathe and get focused. What is that one thing we want to focus our energy towards in the next 25 minutes? And then we set the timer and we dive in on that. And sometimes you get done with the thing a lot faster, and sometimes it's going to take another round of Pomodoro. But either way, it helps you stay really clear and focused. And then after that 25-minute sprint, a timer goes off, you stop, you get up, you get away from the computer and you go and move your body, or you just sit and meditate, whatever it is. But you don't go look at your phone, you don't go just get distracted, you just stay in this focused state of being. And for me, I love taking that 5 minutes to go hang upside down. That's my opportunity to go get on my hammock or do a couple down dogs or do some sort of yoga stretch, especially around the shoulders and the neck, because it is such a toll on the body to sit at the computer for as long as we do. So if you can make those little changes, maybe try out the Pomodoro technique and see how that works for you, taking little sprints. And guaranteed, it will be challenging. You will hear that timer go off after 25 minutes and you are like, oh, I don't want to get away from the computer. I'm almost done. I'm almost done. And then it's like when you force yourself to just get away and take a break, get some water, move your body, stretch your shoulders, your neck, whatever. And I promise you will return feeling so much more refreshed and able to actually finish what you are looking to finish. Versus if you sit there and go blind and stare at the computer and keep aching and slouching, you're just going to keep feeling worse and worse. So,
Agreed.
highly recommend.
Yes, I do too.
And
Great
that's all.
advice. And then for anybody who reads these books, go ahead and put those in the comments, which ones you liked, which ones are your favorites, and if you have any recommendations of your own, we'd love to hear them.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, thank you everyone for listening to this episode, and we will catch you on the next.
Thank you.